The thing I love so much about working with my dad, working with Wallbuilders, is that we emphasize truth. The truth of America, of America's history. And right now we are seeing American history under attack on unprecedented levels, literally in American history. Never before have we seen people denying the obvious truth about America or trying to villainize America with untruth. And so it really is a very significant time to be in an organization and ministry where we actually have what's considered the largest private collection of original documents from the Founding Fathers era. So this is when we have opportunity to tell the story of America, we're not just saying, from our opinion, here's what we think happened. We actually can go back to the original documents, and we can hold up letters from George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and you name a founding father. We've got letters from them. We have journals and writings from them. We can go back to their writings, and when people today want to criticize or accuse or slander, often with untruthful things, we can go to the original document and say, guys, here's what they actually said, here's what they actually did. And the truth is just very different than what our culture is embracing or communicating today. And so I'm very grateful to be working with my dad with an organization that is presenting the truth of America's forgotten history and heroes.
Well, let's talk about as you mentioned, the view of American history today. And you have contended here, and I agree with you, that American history is under assault in unprecedented ways today. You have those that are willing to, disregard the principles of the American Constitution. You have those that are seated in government today that are trying to embrace and to force upon the American people a governmental form that is not what the Founding Fathers intended in the form of socialism. Right. There are, in fact, you and your father have co-written a book called The American Story, which I hope to get into in the course of our conversation today. So you're seeing these challenges to American history. Why do you think that? I mean, sure. You've been around. Why do you think that is these days?
I think looking back over the last several decades, not only do you see that there have been consistent attacks for the last several decades, but the attacks have even changed in the form of the attacks, and I think it's all been strategic. If you go back to the maybe 70s or 80s, you would hear about the Founding Fathers, that maybe they weren't the most moral people, that they had affairs or, they were very loose with their moral principles. They were alcoholics, that they definitely weren't Christians. They were atheists, agnostics, or deists. And so you saw character assaults on them from the 80s and 90s. Well, as you go forward, then you would hear the conversation that they were terrible men because they were all slaveholders. They were all racist. And you continue to see the system unfold, and now we're hearing things like the Founding Fathers created systemic racism because they not only gave the institution of slavery in America, but they actually created systems that would only advantage the white man and that would disenfranchise and hurt the black man, etc. You are consistently seeing attacks against America, and one of the things that I think is very significant and strategic in recognizing these attacks is right now, from the most recent polling, about 75% of college students say that they support socialism. Well, socialism has never worked in any nation in the history of the world where it's been tried. One of the things we will tell young people quite often is if you like freedom and you like money, you don't want to be socialist, because every nation that embraces socialism, people lose their financial prosperity, people lose their personal freedom, their opportunity to make choices. So socialism has never produced well in America. Well, why would people embrace socialism? Well, it starts with, if you can demonize the Founding Fathers, then whatever the Founding Fathers did was evil. Therefore, the Constitution itself, right? This is what created this systemic racism in America. This is what this evil document. And the only way that you can say that we need to do a brand new system that's never worked anywhere else before, we're going to try something totally new, is if you can say the Constitution is bad. But the Constitution has been the most successful governing document in the history of the world. So why would we think it's bad? Well, if the people who wrote it were bad, then what they did was bad, and now we're going to bring the accusations of it's a racist document, whatever else, and it's not. It's not on any regard, any of the things people say it is, but strategically, when you have Marxists, socialists, and communists that are trying to fundamentally transform America, the only way you can do it is to demonize the Founding Fathers, to demonize what they did in the U.S. Constitution, because until we reject the Founding Fathers and until we reject the Constitution, we're not going to embrace socialism, Marxism, or communism. So it's been a very strategic attack and move, and because most Americans simply don't know American history, we don't always know how to respond to the attacks that have come against the Founding Fathers of the Constitution of America. And because we don't really know how to respond, we've not been able to identify or answer back to how fallacious these claims actually are.